Out of over 1,000 Pokemon ever made, my personal favorite is Togedemaru. I mean, it's a small, round little guy, like, come on. And Pokemon challenge runs are the norm these days, so screw it. Gotta feed my kids somehow. Today, I'll be attempting to beat Pokemon Ultra Moon with just a single Togedemaru. Now, on the surface, this doesn't seem as bad as whatever Madrybred tends to run, and you'd be right. Togedemaru has very competent attack and speed, and its middling bulk is at least made up for by its secondary steel typing, giving it tons of resistances and only 3 weaknesses. However, that's not to say we won't have our fair share of struggles. Double ganging totem bosses, 2 of the 4 island kahunas having a type advantage over us, a rival that will boast a signature fire-type starter because I'm stupid enough to give him that handicap throughout the entire adventure. On top of all that, we're playing by the usual challenge rules. In battle, I can only use a single Togedemaru and no items except for held items. Togedemaru and I are going to have to be on our A game if we want to be champions, so without further ado, let's get gaming. Now, you may be wondering, how am I going to play the whole game with Togedemaru when I can't even catch it till mid-game? Well, my dad's uncle's daughter's mom's cousin's left toe works at Pokemon and gave me the hookup. And what a hookup it is. Perfect, round, spiky little guy. I didn't nickname the Togedemaru because he's perfect as is. A hasty nature is good and bad, but might as well be bad because the speed enhancement hardly matters with a speed IV of 2. Meanwhile, the rest of his IVs, Lightning Rod is by no means the preferred ability, but it doesn't actually matter what I start with, and you'll see why. We meet our rival Hal, an aspiring boy. Time to beat his ass. Oh, thankfully with every battle with the guy, you don't have to win to progress with the story, but these are gonna be growing pains for the little mouse. Togedemaru's best stat is its physical attack. Meanwhile, it's gonna be stuck with Thundershock with its dinky special. But when it gets to level 9, roll out. But at the great level of 17, we get Spark, so, you know, easy money. With that said, I'm not gonna pretend like we have some grand adventures or anything like that at the first island. It's a mid-game Steel-type Pokemon, and for the early game of really most games, you're stuck fighting a bunch of normal and Bug-type idiots. Even the 2 subsequent Hal battles in the first trial were really nothing to write home about. All you're really missing is me getting some new clothes to enhance my Sorry, nearly hacked a hairball saying that one. I got the TM for workup and already maxing out Togedemaru's affection. Pokemon Refresh provides some insane benefits, like boosting the chance of critical hits, a chance to shake off status ailments, a chance to live off any single attack on 1 HP from any health percentage, a chance to dodge moves. I almost considered banning it outright, but like, I mean, come on, I like a little cheese in my game. Plus, you'll soon see this run would be nigh impossible without either Affection Clutch or insane overleveling, thus trivializing this entire challenge anyway. And I would have to go in my totally legit, real, normal Pokemon licensed product to reset the Affection numerous times anyway. I don't feel like doing that. Anyways, the first kahuna, Hala, is a fighting type specialist, and I have 1 steel type dude. Tell me, how do you think I feel about this? Best thing I can really do is just give Togedemaru a citrus berry from the berry trees and then just throw ourselves at it until we win. Hala's lead Machop can't even take out half of Togedemaru's health, so having that extra longevity would help. Unless he crits on the very first turn of the very first attempt. Surely that couldn't be us, right? Hala sends out Crabrawler next, and yeah, attempt 2 is even worse. Machop just went for the revenge, and that just deletes Togedemaru altogether. So I gotta come up with like half a plan here. Togedemaru goes for workup, since this entire fight basically hinges on him being able to sweep, so let's see what happens. Machop lands a Karate Chop, doesn't crit, cool. As long as he doesn't get crit again, he should build enough attack buffs to pull off said sweep. But somehow, Togedemaru not only dodges a revenge, but then Machop just goes for focus energy. And by that point, Togedemaru already boosted his attack enough to sweep the rest of Hala's punchy idiots, and that's the first island cleared. Before I leave Tutorial Island, I make a couple rounds to new places with my big speedy Taurus to get the TM for Thief, and more importantly, the Flyinium Z. Togedemaru can get bounced really soon, so that essentially makes Supersonic Sky Strike the neutral move to use for a long while. Kahili, please, I need you to respond to my private messages, please. Hey, hi, hope you're enjoying the video so far, but I'm sorry, I gotta annoy you for a sec. I'm trying to help raise money for my partner who owes a lot of it to a stinky college they dropped out of, and we need your help. Let me just say, if you aren't able to donate or just don't want to, totally cool. I'd rather you worry about yourself first, though if I'd ask just one thing, just share the link around. Quick, easy, free, pat yourself on the back. Good job, thank you. But if you do want to donate, first of all, thank you so much. It would mean the world to both of us. You can either do so directly through the GoFundMe, or if you want some sweet DigitalTy goodies or an extra reason to donate some money, you can always use my membership program. All YouTube money I make goes directly through the GoFundMe anyway, and you can always cancel later down the line to keep your perks for the rest of the month and not have it auto-bill. I also do live streaming events and premieres to all of the scripted content for like a live chat experience and to interact with my fan base whenever I'm not lazy or stupid. If we meet the final stretch goal by July 31st, 2024, I will do a 24-hour live stream. I don't know how or what I will do, but I will do it. Thank you for your time. Now let's get back to the video. As we make it to Akala Island, we partake in some mantine surfing, and you know what? It's actually kind of a fun little side thing and a pretty good way of earning BP for items and moves. I cheated anyway. Hey, look, they decided to put the staple move relearner in the final area of the game, so having the ability to keep good moves in rotation is paramount. And this is basically the only other option I have. I don't really have the time or honestly patience to surf on a funny fish for a million years, and I can already theoretically max out my BP anyway. If this really diminishes the integrity of this challenge, think of it this way. I could have just hacked in rare candies and then just beat the game a level a million because, I mean, I could just grind a max level anyway. So, anyway, I get some funky glasses to enhance my, my plop, I guess. I have a run-in with the sidest of side characters from X and Y, and Cena just dies. Not even in battle from 3 turns of rollout, but she just dies in the series. We do not see her again at all. Hal and Gladion also get mollywopped. Not even the Togedemaru wouldn't stood a chance. Do you believe that? The water bug Pokemon lost to an electric steel type with a flying type Z move? Insane. We make it to the Royal Avenue, and after humoring the Masked Royale on a request with, and I'm not making this up, a foursome, we are minors, my dude. We get access to the BP shop for what is hands down the most important item in our adventure, an ability capsule. Meaning we can let go of our useless electric immunity and finally get iron bars, where any contact move made onto us will dish out a little chip damage right back. This is hands down the most useful ability Togedemaru can get for this kind of adventure, but I mean, don't worry, I only plan on using the BP for moves unless there's something I really absolutely need, which, spoiler alert, I don't. But now we have the biggest roadblock on our adventure yet, Togedemaru. Let's run through the list. Fire type. Yeah, great. 2 options for super effective moves. You know it. Can stall with detect. Pretty epic. Is holding a thick club, which doubles the damage of physical attacks that just so happen to be the 2 moves Togedemaru is weak against. No, let's keep going. Flame Wheel has a chance to burn, which it alone would be devastating, but can also double the power of Hex. I mean, it doesn't matter since a couple Flame Wheels can kill me anyway, but that could happen. Marowak also has Curse Body, which has a chance to outright disable one of Togedemaru's attacking moves. And if somehow that's not enough, it supports Salazzle can also hit with super effective Flame Burst, lock Togedemaru out using the same move twice in a row with Torment, or even poisoning him with Corrosion Boosted Poison Gas, which also plays into Marowak's Hex. So if you can't tell, there's a lot that can go wrong here. I know I'm not going to beat this in one attempt, so I decided to just scout a little. Thankfully, Togedemaru can one-shot the first Marowak and the Hiker's Magmar, but the latter could get a Flame Body proc, and we're basically screwed if that happens. And we would have to repeat the entire sequence again if we wipe. Regardless, the Totem Marowak is where the real battle is. From what I know of the Totem AI, if they have a move that protects them, they're basically guaranteed to use it at turn 1, but I don't have workup at the moment, so whatever. I see an unboosted Supersonic Sky Strike does half HP, and then they just double up and immediately kill me. How epic. It was at this point I decided, well, we've had rollout throughout the entire game, and we don't need it. Yeah, it's a rock type move, and that's good against fire types, but it starts off as baby damage and assumes Togedemaru can live long enough for it to do anything. And it doesn't even have 100 accuracy. So I replace it with workup and go in attempt 2 with a plan. He detects, Togedemaru uses workup. I decided the Salazzle has to leave first, since Togedemaru is a billion times more likely to KO it than the Marowak. We don't have to worry about any double ups, and it turns out that wasn't going to be a thing anyway because Togedemaru dodges the Flame Wheel. It's at this point I have no clue if he detects again or goes for another attack, so we go for the Mogul move workup, and yeah. We basically lose this attempt if Togedemaru doesn't crit, so he uses Spark. Yep, awesome. It's at this point I'm kind of stumped, so I opt to do something I did not think I would have to do for this challenge. Alrighty, with this I learned a few things. First off, using Supersonic Sky Strike on the Salazzle was a waste, since a +1 Spark is more than enough for the one shot. Secondly, Marowak's Flame Wheel never kills me unless it crits or I get burnt, in which case we just lose. Thirdly, a +1 Supersonic Sky Strike is a roll to kill on the Marowak, but that's not accounting the Iron Barb's chip damage it would have to take when it inevitably goes for a Flame Wheel. So, assuming I have this right, the plan is to work up as Marowak detects, spark the Salazzle, and then pray Togedemaru doesn't get crit or burnt. See, I told you I was always gonna have to rely on a little luck anyway, especially since apparently the first Marowak actually lives the Z move, but goes for a tail whip. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's run it back once more. I click work up as he goes for detect. Why did he not detect? Why did he not detect? This is stupid. Whatever. Gonna run back a 4th time now, I guess. Suddenly, we have a lot more RNG I have to avoid, especially from the very beginning. You know what? Why not a Flame Body proc on the Magmar? I haven't seen everything yet, so sure, why not? Let's do it. Okay. I actually just now realized getting burnt here wouldn't even matter because I can just use Pokemon Refresh to heal it off in between battles, which is legal with my rules, but whatever. Let's kick his ass properly this time. Marowak detects, work up to +1, Salazzle comes out. Togedemaru uses Spark, she dies, and Togedemaru survives a Flame Wheel, no crit, no burn, and Marowak takes Iron Barb's chip. Now I just click Supersonic Sky Strike, and just like that, the second trial of Akala Island is done. On one hand, I'm kind of annoyed at my calcs because I was so sure that sequence was supposed to end the fight right then and there. Maybe there's something built in that I just didn't consider, or I'm just outright stupid and didn't read anything right. I mean, I don't know, but on the other hand, wow. This is the kind of stuff you just cannot make up. Over the course of this run, I built up a supply of rare candies, and I've yet to use a single one. And it's honestly because of hype crazy plays like this. I think it just makes for way better content if something really stupid and cheesy happens, and I don't think I would have gotten any of that by just leveling up a ton. What an insane trial, but I'm glad we can finally move on. And move on we shall, because honestly, the rest of the island is a breeze. For Malice Trial, I get all the correct ingredients and do not disturb any of the Pokemon like a PogChamp gamer, and Togedemaru just deletes the Totem Lurantis in one shot. Just like that, we beat all the trials of the island, and all the captains have an opportunity to reflect on our adventures. My Marowak didn't stand a chance. Kill yourself. I do typical Pokemon things like move my feet, send out Pokemon, see a sussy sky object, you know, normally normal stuff. There was this one lady in Memorial Hill with a Furfrou and a Comfey that I thought we were gonna wipe to, but I guess RNGesus is also a Togedemaru fan. Right before the grand trial against Olivia, Togedemaru gets Zing Zap, 80 base power electric type move with a 30% chance to flinch. Tasty. We immediately put that to use by decimating Plumeria, and not even Olivia knew what hit her. 3 workups on our lead Anorith, Togedemaru proceeds to mop up, and bing bam bop, second island done. I'm feeling good about this adventure. We've conquered some hellish challenges, get an all-expense paid trip to the Aether Foundation, we meet this totally sane and normal person, meet this stupid looking thing, I get an awesome TM that I can't even use, and next thing we know, we're at Ula Ula Island. First thing in Mali City, Hal challenges me to a battle. Why not, buddy? We're on top of the world, and he has 5 Pokemon, and a Supersonic Sky Strike doesn't even kill, and then Hal's Torracat just deletes us instead. Well, on one hand, like any other fight with Hal, losing only really costs Togedemaru some sweet EXP gains and me some end of victory cash. But on the other hand, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of dire. If Hal can just mollywop us at this stage of the game, who knows how strong he will be when we inevitably have our final battle. Wow, way to put a damper on things, dude. But at the very least, this island has plenty of opportunities to enhance our kit. In the Pokemon Center, we get TMs for Facade, U-Turn, and Thunder Wave, so now we at least have more useful moves in rotation. After getting some more Dribble, I realized I never took on that one Kanto-like gym, so why not? I can confirm, it is an authentic Cantonian-style gym, alright? There's an optional battle with Ryuki, and he leads with a Turtonator with Flamethrower. Pass. During my trek to the first trial of this island, I pick up on a couple things. First off, I now have access to the EV-reducing berries, and spoiler alert, yes, I do reset my EVs later, but not right now. Secondly, though, I'm starting to notice Togedemaru's type and stat advantages from the early game are slowly dwindling now, as the trainers are getting beefier Pokemon now. Not too much cause of concern for right now, but it's worth keeping in the back of our minds. Now for the next trial, a bigger and angrier baby. Blood of our blood, we gotta square up against a big Togedemaru. Good news is it can't do a whole lot to us, but the bad news is neither can we. Not helped by the potentially spawning Dedenne with Charm that can easily undo any workup boost, and Super Fang that takes out half of Togedemaru's current HP. I have the resources to eke out a W, but it's gonna be a slow battle. There's even a tiny Togedemaru, and he even tries to save all the guys from getting blasted to Kingdom Come. This is so based. And now we got ourselves a big guy to take down. If our hellish bouts with the Marowak have taught me anything, it's that the chance the AI won't go for its protecting move turn 1, but I have a feeling it's less likely here since Togedemaru has no super effective options against me. So I tell our Togedemaru to go for a Z power boosted workup. Using the Z crystal and status moves is a meme and a half, but Z workup gives me +2 attack in one go, thus saving me an extra turn of setting up, which in turn saves us some HP. I pray that the Dedenne doesn't come out. Huge, large, massive even. Our second secret weapon is Reflect that I got from the Pokemon Center. Since both Mons on the field only attack with contact moves, this essentially means they will do just as, if not more, damage to themselves thanks to Iron Barb's chip. As shown by the Togedemaru going for the Iron Head right here. Skarmory goes for Tailwind, and yeah, I expected that, but it's still not great, because now the Totem outspeeds and threatens to flinch with Iron Head and Zing Zap. I predict the next Spiky Shield and tell Togedemaru to go for another workup, and Skarmory uses Torment. Cool, that's annoying, but again, better than dealing with with Charm or Super Fang, my Togedemaru actually dodges the incoming Z-Zap, and I tell him to use one of his own and prove I'm a little stupid. Honestly, the rest of this fight is just basically counting enemy Tailwind turns, counting my Togedemaru's Reflect turns, all the while going for workups whenever I think the Togedemaru will go for Spiky Shield, and then just slowly damage with Thief and Iron Barb's chip, all the while prioritizing the Totem Togedemaru because I really don't want to deal with the demon that could spawn in Skarmory's place. It was pretty close, but I eventually got it to where the Totem Togedemaru downed itself thanks for Iron Barbs, leading for our own Togedemaru to kill the Skarmory with the same turn. If I was at a lower level, or more importantly, didn't have Iron Barbs, that would have been way dirtier. And it does feel bad having to beat up a fellow spiky round guy, but we managed to leave the observatory with type matching Z crystals. Stab Gigavolt Havocs and Corkscrew Crashes go burr. We celebrate our victory by obliterating Guzma. GG's, dude. But the real celebration comes at Ula Ula Beach, where I can finally learn Togedemaru's other most useful move, Laser Focus. Damn it! I guess he'll get Iron Head instead. And just in time for the next trial too, but not before wiping to an optional veteran with a Whiscash. Man, that sure doesn't bode well for any future ground-type Pokemon in the future. Next up is the Ghost Trial, going up against a Totem Mimikyu. The Mimikyu itself, I'm not super scared of, though having to work around its disguise ability and Shadow Claws might be dastardly. But the real horror is with the support Mons. Bayonet can lower Togedemaru's defense by 2 stages, burn him, or put him on a curse that will take him out in 4 turns at most. Jellicent has all special moves, so Reflect won't do anything, and has a chance to confuse Togedemaru, drain his PP, disable any of his attacking moves, or do guaranteed 33 damage. One calculator and a single Corkscrew Crash can one-shot, even through the defense buff from its stupid Omni Boost. With hyper aggression and a little luck, we could get a clean W. Mimikyu does outspeed and Shadow Claw does an honestly disgusting amount of damage, worse so if it crit. But Togedemaru breaks through disguise as Bayonet comes out. He actually dodges the next Shadow Claw and Corkscrew Crash puts it down. Bayonet misses a Will-O-Wisp and Thief misses out on the one-shot, but Bayonet does land the next Will-O-Wisp, and then it gets cured immediately. Just like that, we win! If Mimikyu had landed that second Shadow Claw, we would have been in a world of trouble. But aside from that, that was honestly pretty clean. But then the incoming Plumeria battle ends horrendously as Salazzle just up and kills us. Whatever, nothing that a reset won't do. I'll just immediately try again. Yeah, I forgot to save, and that's especially horrendous because it takes us another 4 attempts to beat the Mimikyu. I wasn't kidding when I said we needed luck because just about anything that could have happened did. Crit Shadow Claw, Bayonet going for Curse. I even misclicked the Z move on the Bayonet because it wouldn't be a Pokemon Challenge video if I didn't throw for content. My second winning attempt was arguably even crazier. Affection made Togedemaru live off 1 HP. He dodged the incoming Will-O-Wisp after taking out the Mimikyu and went for a Hail Mary Zing Zap flinch. And that's the big money plays, baby. If you somehow hate Togedemaru, your favorite wouldn't take out a Totem Mimikyu twice in one playthrough, now would it? After saving 40 million times, we take on Plumeria again. And after 4 more attempts, I can finally get an Affection Clutch and win the fight. So we're kind of beaten and battered, but we're still ass kickers through and through, right? It's also just hitting me how nightmarish some of these learn sets are. Sure, enemy trainer Pokemon only having 2 moves is like bad design, but for a challenge like this, it's honestly pretty frightening because there's just so little you can play around. You know what's coming, and all you can really do is just pray. But before we can even challenge the Kahuna in our 3rd grand trial, we gotta give Team Skull a visit to rescue some weird-looking dog. One mind game with Grimsley and some zippy zoomies later, we're at the Po Town entrance, and this is where we lose the challenge. Before we can even enter Po Town, there is a required double battle, and this entire time it's just been me and my spiky little man. So no, we can't beat Pokemon Ultra Moon with just a single Togedemaru. So I used 2. And I took this time to reset Togedemaru's EV since I'm technically able to do that now with the berries, but I didn't feel like grinding it out after the game cheated me. Don't worry, the other Togedemaru is only level 1, so it's not going to make much of an impact on this battle. I'm gonna be stuck here for a sec. One destruction of Team Skull and their challenge-destroying ways later, we're face-to-face with Guzma again. I may have had a little more trouble with him this time, thanks to me underestimating his Z-move's damage output, but we walk out ultimately just fine. I even go out of my way to grab the Bugginium Z for another Super Nuke option. Gladion, rightfully upset that his sister's been taken away, tries to take out his anger on me, but L. Realizing that this was probably the most pointless boss fight ever in the game, Gladion offers to take us straight to the Ether Foundation. However, in order to see if we're really ready to take on 2 evil teams, Nanu challenges us for the 3rd grand trial, and by accidentally saying yes, I didn't get to prepare for his fight. So we end up getting outplayed by his lead Sableye by him switching to his Krokorok, and Togedemaru doesn't have workup, and Affection RNG couldn't save him this time. Rest in peace. Attempt 2 goes way better, since at +1, Togedemaru is able to take out the Sableye and the Krokorok, and after unnecessarily not going for the Bug-type Z move, thinking that scouting against a Persian with these moves and this special attack would be a problem, Nanu gets wiped out, and the 3rd island is now cleared. I went into this island feeling on top of the world. Now I just melancholic. My rival is getting stronger. We've had to take down a fellow Togedemaru. Most of the enemy mons are becoming more and more of a problem. Team Skull tried to cheat us out of the challenge, and I guess the world is in danger because of some totally normal person trying to open a portal to an alternate dimension full of aliens or something. Look, it's rough out here, and it doesn't play fair. It almost doesn't seem worth pressing forward, but hey, if everybody's a cheater, no one is. And now we're at the Ether Paradise. Since it's basically my MO to fight as many trainers as I can, I decided to at least look up the trainer rosters going forward. Especially since I remember this one trainer within the Alolan Doug trio, which just so happens to be the first one. I try to fight him, and then beat him easily. Okay. We later find Faba on one of the upper floors, and then he got slapped so hard he pranked us into going down to the lower floor to get ambushed by more goons. After all that, we see Faba again, and suddenly we're in a multi-battle between me and Hal versus Faba and some ass clown. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Hal hard carries this fight. We try to hold our own against Faba, but we're taken out before we know it. And sure, Hal fumbles the first attempt, and we gotta fight the first multi-battle with Gladian all over again, but even still, it feels like we just can't pull our own weight. Sure, the battle is ultimately won, but at what cost? Hal has been rising slowly and slowly from the ashes I've left behind on the first two islands, but now it feels like our positions have switched. Am I the rival to Hal's Island Challenge now? I don't know about anything anymore, but there's nothing we can do but press forward, I guess. We have one more fight with Guzma this time, and it goes just about the same as the other attempts, but since we fight him 3 times so quickly, I held off on going in depth with the fight, so I guess I'll just do it here. Goliathopod is too bulky for a one-shot, but it's actually fine since his emergency exit yoinks him out and sends Pinsir next. Last time, Togedemaru barely missed out on the one-shot Z move on Pinsir, and then a crit Storm Throw had us shaking in our boots, but not this time, you stupid idiot. And hey, another free kill. Thanks, man. The ever so scary, intimidating Masquerain comes out, but it still dies with Vikavolt last. I'm stupid and forgot Electric Resist Steel, so Ironhead does baby damage. Suddenly, Togedemaru's only attacking move is U-turn, and we just trade blows, but it looks like we're on the losing end. Now Guzma has us on the ropes, and then suddenly our confidence to become a champion is just dwindling worse and worse. But Togedemaru reminds me that real strength comes from the bonds between humans and Pokemon, and not only dodges the next Thunderbolt, but crits the next move. And we've come out on top once again. Am I squeaking out wins by luck? Yes, but I wouldn't have gotten to that point if not for being there for Togedemaru every step in the way. Whenever the world kicks us down, we gotta remember no matter what, we have each other. And sometimes that's all we really need. Guzma asks how come he can't smash me. Brother, I'm 11. I've practically ignored all the fights with the Ultra Recon squad because, like, come on. But this fight? And it's the exact goddamn same. Moving on. Now we're face to face with Lusamine, and honestly, I don't have a plan, so let's wing it. Clefable comes out first, and because she's a bulky mother effer, Togedemaru opts to work up first, and it just goes for Hyper Voice. We don't want to set up too much because Clefable has Charm, so it can undo Togedemaru's attack buffs at any time. So he just goes for the Iron Hand and gets a clean one-shot. Lopunny comes out next, Zing Zap does it in, and Beware's third. Now this one's a bulky idiot, and its fluffy ability makes it so it takes half damage on contact. If Togedemaru doesn't get the one-shot, he has a Drain Punch with his name on it. So I decided this is the time to use Corkscrew Crash, and that's enough for the KO. Milotic and Lilligant go down to one Zing Zap and U-turn a pop, and that's the entire Aether subplot taken care of. How the hell was Faba more of a threat? Lusamine and Guzma decide that, in spite of Togedemaru and I kicking both their asses nearly back to back, that they're good enough to take down an Necrozma in another dimension. So we, a bunch of children, have to try to clean up their inevitable mess. Hal even goes as far as to claim that he feels like I'm saving him constantly. On one hand, brother. On the other hand, maybe if it wasn't for our early dominance, Hal wouldn't have had the motivation to become stronger, and now I'm in a position to understand what that's like. You're not a bad dude, Hal, and I look forward to our final showdown. But Togedemaru and I still have a ton of challenges before we can even think about him. Now we're at Pony Island. We participate in a little goose chase to find the kahuna and a funny flute, and suddenly the game turns into a psychological horror when the trainer with a Mudstail becomes the next Pony Island kahuna. With everything we now have in hand, we make it to Vast Pony Canyon, home of the altar of the Mooney. We have one last battle with Soliera, who managed to raise 2 more levels since our last encounter. After backtracking for an old tool of mine, we finally trek through the canyon. I quickly get the TM for Wild Charge since inevitably we will have to get rid of Zing Zap, and I'll need a decent move to replace it until the amazingly placed move relearner, but for now, we're gonna rock. Maybe roll. Every trainer's been left in the dust. We have a few close calls with a Flame Body Talonflame and a Flygon, but we still make it to the Dragon Trial. We throw ourselves to the Totem Kameo, and it doesn't work out without a work up, so that's another attempt down the drain. We instead start the fight with a work up since Togedemaru can tank any non-crit, and Kameo would ironically take damage from Drain Punch rather than heal thanks to Iron Barbs at full HP, so there's no recovery to be had. Noivern comes out, and that's good and bad. Good because I don't have to deal with any priority attacks, but bad because it doesn't have any moves that make contact, so no Iron Barbs. But it doesn't change the fact that Togedemaru is at 21 HP and staring down 2 fierce dragons, so this is looking pretty over. A blast from the past Supersonic Sky Strike does kill the Kameo, but Noivern retaliates with a Boom Burst. And I remember the kind of game I'm playing, baby. The next Zing Zap even crits the Noivern. I doubt that even mattered, but this was another case where I don't know how we were gonna win at this level without any affection luck. But just like that, we're out of here. Lily and I play our flutes flawlessly on our first attempt. Nebby is now large. Lusamine and Guzma somehow are not dead. And suddenly we have a Necrozma Dawnwing staring us down. But it never stood a chance against my sweet little Togedemaru. Even with its natural bulk and ability that reduces super effective damage, a quad effective Black Hole Eclipse is more than enough to tame this threat for the time being. But now we gotta chase it through Ultra Space. And let me tell ya, trying to use gyro controls on my totally real Nintendo 3DS with its real built-in gyro controls, not great. But I can go out of my way to change the controls to my real-life circle pad, and of course, when I change it, the very first portal I see is the one I need. We're gaming. But now we've made it to the infamous Ultra Necrozma fight. Sure, none of its moves can hit Togedemaru for even neutral damage, and its Neuroforce ability is useless by default, but with its insane offensive stats, free Omni boost, and the fact that we're from late level 40-some trainers to this level 60 beast, even a Photon Geyser at Togedemaru's current level is enough to take him down in 2 hits. The common strategies are classic Toxic Stalling, classic Fear strats, maybe even throw a Zoro in there since its Dark type and Illusion ability tricks the AI. But that's not the title of this video now, is it? Look, anyone who's played this game knows how monstrous Ultra Necrozma is, so I'll spare you the turn-by-turn explanation of the 7 attempts it took me to beat it. Some were used to scout, some involved workup, some even had lucky affection dodges, one even involved a lax instance for even more dodge chances, but when going up against sheer power, sometimes it just isn't enough. I've accumulated enough rare candies to at least get myself in a loop of use one rare candy, see how the attempt goes, then use another one with each subsequent attempt. Admittedly, that is partly the reason why it took me so many more attempts than it reasonably should, but like I said, I find challenges better when I rely more on whatever strategies than just leveling up as high as possible, because that's content, boys. And sure enough, when I used 4 of my rare candies and spent 15 minutes on a constant reset loop, Togedemaru ended up getting a crit with Savage Spin Out. That could have ended literally at any point, but sure, whatever. World saved, I guess. And what better celebration than saving the entire world than by doing another trial? Yeah, I don't get the timing, and the fact the entire trial is running around all of the Alola region, partaking in more battles and taking these petals that are... I know what you all are. I mean, at least they have the courtesy of fast traveling you, but even still, this trial is... whatever. We're now face-to-face with the Fairy-type trainer Mina. It's looking a wee bit sussy with 2 mons with Intimidate and Mawile Sucker Punches, but a clutch crit on the Grand Bull and Rabambi going down to a Corkscrew Crash, even at -2 attack, squeaks out a win. Illuma also dies. Lana opens with a Volt Absorb Lantern with Hydro Pump that does dummy damage, but a +1 U-turn does over half, and Togedemaru sweeps the rest of her team. Next up... oh, cool! Yeah, Kiawe is the only one of these wieners that took us more than 1 attempt, leading with the Arcanine with Intimidate and Flare Blitz that just instantly KOs Togedemaru. That's so epic. On attempt 2, Togedemaru goes for the Super Nuke immediately, and it at least one-shots, but now I gotta deal with 2 more fire types at -1 attack with no Z move. Togedemaru actually dodges the Marowak's Bone Ring, and the second Zing Zap he uses high rolls for the kill, and then just annihilate the Talonflame. Alright, the last battle before the totem is a rematch with Nanu, but he doesn't even bring Krokorok this time. Togedemaru works up once, and he dies. Epic. All that's left is the final totem Pokemon of the game. A Big B. Even with its +2 Omni boost, it can't really do much to hurt Togedemaru, and the worst thing that can happen is support Pelipper gets a burn with Scald. Maybe Heal Pulse Helping Hand Blissing might be a minor annoyance too, but that's all assuming the Rabambi can even survive a Corkscrew Crash. So let's just use it and move on to the Grand Trial. You know, in all our W's I've had with RNG, it was only a matter of time before I just threw. So why not? Let's play it out. Rabambi goes for Quiver Dance, and we literally do not care, and Ironhead does over half. So had I actually equipped the right Z move, this would have been over in a flash. But it ends up being over in like a couple flashes instead, because they can't really do anything to Togedemaru anyway, and we just win. And just like that, all the trials are done, but we now have the hardest roadblock yet, Kahuna Hapu. Yeah, I don't think I need to explain why this is a massive issue, so let's come up with a strategy. I feel like we need a Z move here. Sure, we can maybe use some funky air balloon or focus sash strategies, but given that 3 of Hapu's 4 Pokemon have, at worst, respectable bulk, being able to insta-kill at least one of them would vastly improve our odds. Having no air balloon sucks, but we have access to something even better, Magnet Rise. I don't know how Togedemaru is biologically able to levitate, but I'm not complaining. This fight also means it's time to gut Zing Zap from his moveset, but I'm totally fine with it since from here it's not long till we get access to the move relearner, so I can cope. Okay, so the plan is to use Magnet Rise, reflect, set up some workups, and then blitz with Ironhead. Ideally use a Corkscrew Crash on Gastrodon since it's the only one with a steel resistance. except that Golurk can fall back on Hammer Arm, which not only has 100 base power and is super effective, but its 90% accuracy is also completely bypassed with no guard. I have no clue how much a non-boosted Iron Head would do, and I'm too lazy to check calcs, not to mention all of this setup isn't even completely foolproof. But the best we can do is Golurk comes out, Togedemaru's on the field, and he looks me dead in the eye and is ready for whatever crackhead plans I have cooking. I decided to go for the Corkscrew Crash right out of the gate. Not having it for Gastrodon sucks, but it's the best we can do if we want even a hope to win this fight. Golurk thankfully falls in one hit, and Mudsdale comes out second. This is huge because I know that it's going to try to use a Continental Crush, so Togedemaru can use Magnet Rise on the same turn. Not only finally giving it a much needed ground immunity, but to waste Hapu's Z move. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. Togedemaru sets up Reflect, and he just dodges the double kick. This is massive because now we're in the best position to use Work Up as Mudsdale slowly chips away at its own health with Iron Barbs. We use Work Up, but then Mudsdale goes for Payback. This sucks because not only does it now get 1 tick of Iron Barbs chip as opposed to 2 with double kick, but I kind of don't like the damage from Payback. Sure, it is ultimately baby damage, but every tick of HP is gonna count since we also have to worry about Flygon's paralysis chance from Dragon Breath and Gastrodon's Recover and special attacking Muddy Water, which has its own chance to drop Togedemaru's accuracy. We can't set up forever on the Mudsdale, especially since I have to count Magnet Rise and Reflect turns, so Togedemaru uses 1 more Work Up and now he's at half health. This stinks, but in order to keep our tempo, we should kill it ASAP before he loses any more health to it. Thankfully he does, and Flygon comes out third. This is the best case scenario because even with the Para chance, Dragon Breath is Flygon's only move aside from Earth Power, meaning Togedemaru can at least try to set up more and hope he doesn't get paralyzed. 1 Magnet Rise, 2 Work Ups, and an Iron Head later, Flygon goes down, and Gastrodon's out last. But at this point, Togedemaru's HP is pretty low, so this last turn decides it. But Iron Head just misses out on the kill, no flinch, and Muddy Water finishes the fight. I'm shocked we even came close on the first attempt. So let's just run it back. Everything up to the first Magnet Rise turn plays out the same. However, we get the 1-2 punch of accidentally set up Work Up instead of Reflect, and Mudsdale landing the double kick. At this point, I threw the game for us, so I just told Togedemaru to use Iron Head at +1, and Mudsdale still lives even after 2 ticks of Iron Barbs. Sure, after 1 more move, Mudsdale can go down to 1 more tick of Iron Barbs chip, but Togedemaru is at way too little health to set up anymore. I want to reset, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like riding towards the sunset with this one. Flygon immediately goes down to another Iron Head, and Gastrodon's out last. Okay, now it's over. Togedemaru uses Iron Head 1 last time, anticipating a Muddy Water, and Gastrodon flinches. Okay, guess we're going down swinging, but that was also the last turn of Magnet Rise, and there's no point in setting it back up again if we're just gonna die in next turn or Gastrodon recovers, so we go for 1 last Iron Head, and Gastrodon flinches again. Is this actually happening? No way I threw at the start of the fight and it's still possible to win. If I were Hapu, I would be molding, seething even. I know Hapu's gonna heal, so Togedemaru uses 1 last Work Up, and for some reason, Hapu has a Hyper Potion, which only recovers 120 HP as opposed to a full restore completely healing, meaning another attack buff is enough to KO the Gastrodon from its current HP, winning us a very, 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 very sweaty fight. I don't know how it only took 2 attempts to beat the ground-type Kahuna with 1 electric steel-type Pokemon, but I'm over the moon now that we have cleared all of our trials. All that's left is 1 snowy trek through a big mountain before we're finally able to challenge the Pokemon League. Before that, though, Gladion challenges us 1 last time, and believe it or not, it took us more attempts to beat him than Hapu. We lost attempt 1 because I wanted to do some cheeky scouting if he sends out his Zoroark second instead of his fighting-type Pokemon for some reason, and lost to an Aura Sphere Hail Chip combo. I lost attempt 2 because I realized I equipped the wrong Z move again and lost too much health by the time his Silvally came in. Attempt 3, I finally get my act together and just win the fight. Why didn't I think of that sooner? And more importantly, why am I suddenly throwing more and more near the end of the game? The game's not over till it's over, so we can't lose focus now. We make our final trek through Mount Lanakila, fighting the last few trainers of the game, ignoring Necrozma, wiping to a random trainer with a Claydol, and make it to the top. The champion's throne is now mere footsteps away. We finally have access to the move relearner, so Togedemaru doesn't have to deal with stinky Wild Charge recoil, and I don't have any heart scales. But what if I did? I finished the EXP line off Wild Pokemon and decided to use the rest of my rare candies because, hey, better here than never. So here's Togedemaru's final stats and moves before the Elite Four. Now what sucks is that everyone, even Hao, has at least 1 ground-type move to threaten an instant defeat. We should probably bring Magnet Rise, but since we're at the end of the game at a high level, we might be able to outspeed and overpower them, so I'd rather go in with as diverse of a move pool as possible. Plus, the scarcity of said ground moves is honestly not worth using up a move slot. Plus, I still have an air balloon if we really need it. So, this is it. 1 more gauntlet of challenges, and Togedemaru will officially be crowned champion of Alola. We're hyped, we're nervous, we're determined, we're scared. Just about any feeling we could feel in the world, we feel. Togedemaru and I look each other in the eyes, knowing that no matter what happens, we had a great run. Let's end this. So we can take on any of the Elite Four in any order, so I just decided to go from what I believe is the easiest to hardest, which just so happens to be the far right to far left rooms. First up is Golf Kahili. I misclicked Ironhead like a, as the kids say, fucking idiot, but we don't get punished for it, and I sweep our team as planned. Kahili, I'm begging, please call me sometime. Next up is Acerola. Her Palisand is an issue by virtue of being a bulky ground type, but we opt to set up on her lead Banette since it really can't do too much to Togedemaru. Delmise is bulky enough to live a +1 Ironhead, but thanks to a lucky flinch and Acerola using up all her full restores like a dingus dong, it and the rest of her team go down without too much trouble. Olivia, take a guess what my plan is. Her Probopass with Earth Power and a guaranteed chance to live off any attack from 1 HP thanks to her sturdy ability is scary, but Togedemaru just straight up tanks in Earth Power, and of course, the rest of her team also gets swept. I went on about how I didn't want to overlevel too much for the sake of the challenge, but no matter what, I would have been decently overleveled anyway, and the most you'd probably miss would be Togedemaru doing slightly less damage and him taking slightly more in return. Plus, it's like the end of the game, so yeah. Last of the Elite Four is Mullane, and fortunately for content's sake, this is going to require a few more saucy tactics at the opening. See, Klefki has Reflect, which I do not want up after it goes down, and more importantly, whenever Mullane sends in Doug Trio. And sure enough, he does go for Reflect. Great. We can still set up workups, but I gotta count enemy Reflect turns now, so it's a whole matter of choosing when to attack, when to work up, hell, when to use Thief just to bring it into heal range so Togedemaru can have another opportunity to use workup. It's nerdy strat stuff, so let's just fast forward to Klefki going down, Doug Trio going up, and now I'm at +5 attack. That is more than enough to, you guessed it, sweep. His final Magnezone does have Sturdy, but it just delays the inevitable. We just beat the entire Elite Four on our first attempt. Yay us! And then there's Hal. Honestly, not the most intimidating team I feel like, but him having a diverse team means we kinda need as much in our kit as we possibly can. The dude's been training hard, even managed to surpass us way back at Aether Paradise, and he's only been getting stronger since. But unfortunately for him, so have we. Not even just that, we also saved the world in the process. Hal has every reason in the world to recognize us as his hero, and for that, I recognize Hal as a true serious contender for champion. Let's do this, my dude. So, I don't have a plan for this. I guess Togedemaru can open it with workup since Raichu's gonna go for Focus Blast, and we all know how often you can successfully land that move, am I right? Cool. He does go down to Thief, but Tauros threatens with Earthquake, and we just lose. Alright, yep, even with our level advantage, we were gonna need some last bit of luck. Attempt 2 so far goes exactly the same, but then Togedemaru dodges the Earthquake. Nice, this is so huge, and then he heals. I should have told Togedemaru to use workup, whatever. We can just kill and then kind of steer our way through this. Incineroar comes out next, and this is the perfect time for Togedemaru to use Gigavolt Havoc. Part of me wanted to use it on the Tauros, but that's not a chance I feel like taking, considering it also has Earthquake. Noivern's out fourth, and we slam it with Zing Zap. And then get the huge flinch. This time we play around to heal and go right for the workup, which is the correct decision. Another Zing Zap puts it down. Crabominable? My guy has Crabominable. That's so cute. Oh, I misclicked. Why? Never mind, it killed anyway, all according to plan. Last is Leafeon, and it can be a little bugger with high defense and priority Baby Doll Eyes to lower my attack, but it doesn't even matter. Togedemaru gets yet another critical hit, and we won. Dude, all I said was I needed a little bit of luck, but like I said, RNGesus is also a Togedemaru fan. And that is the end of the challenge. I mean, I kind of knew going in that I was going to win because it's not like Togedemaru is a Route 2 encounter or anything. These are some pretty decent stats for a solo challenge, but I just always wanted to play through a game with my favorite Pokemon only, let alone the generation said favorite Pokemon originated from, and I had a ton of fun. Sure, the overabundance of cutscenes and general meandering through subplots and side quests can make these games kind of grating, but I think they still held up pretty well as long as you don't play them more than once a year. Yes, a lot of it did boil down to workup sweeps and affection RNG, and that can diminish the difficulty of the challenge, but I don't know, there's something that feels more authentic about playing a game like this, and it further drives home the whole bonding with Pokemon moral that you see all the time. Plus, seeing some of the wacky side effects made for some pretty nutty moments, at least in my opinion. One last note, I actually was going to cover the Rainbow Rocket side plot since I really like it and I thought it would be fun, but I kind of decided not to because A, I think ending at the Pokemon League is way more fitting anyway, and B, I actually did play through it, and honestly, it just devolved into more workup sweeps, with the exception of taking 4 attempts to beat Maxie. Though I will say I did beat everyone else first try. Even Giovanni never stood a chance since, well, his lead sucks. All I had to do was Magnet Rise, stall Sucker Punches, and sweep his remaining Pokemon. And to me, that's nowhere near as exciting as my final fight with Hal. Though that actually was the arc that basically kickstarted my love for Togedemaru, with my team getting roughed up by Archie and Togedemaru clutching against a 3/4 health Kyogre. No boosts, no crits, nothing. He just did it. And look where we're at now. Admittedly, that little story was the entire reason I even played the Rainbow Rocket plot, lot, so it kind of stings a little bit on a sentimental note that the content wasn't great enough to extend the video, but I think you all got the point by now, so I'll let you go. Thanks so much for watching. Click all the funny buttons, and I want to give a special thanks to my newest YouTube members, Chem, VG Puppybot, Luis Seiya, and Curbster Soul. I hope I'm pronouncing all of that right. As a reminder, all my YouTube money I make goes straight to my partner's college GoFundMe, so if you cannot donate, don't worry about it. We just appreciate your time and patience. Though above all else in this challenge, the biggest reward Togedemaru I got wasn't the glory of becoming champions or world savers, multiverse savers even. No. The real high of this challenge and the real reason it was all worth it was becoming filthy stinking rich, baby! Yeah!